New York City just made history on rent. The New York Times is reporting that Mamdani's rent freeze has been approved by the New York City Rent Guidelines Board, and for nearly 1 million households, that's a very big deal. Here's what happened. On Thursday, the Rent Guidelines Board voted 7-1 to freeze rents on both 1- and 2-year leases for rent-stabilized apartments across all 5 boroughs. That covers more than 40% of all apartments in the city, everything from high-rise luxury buildings to century-and-a-half-old walk-ups to deeply subsidized affordable housing. The freeze kicks in for leases starting on or after October 1st. This was a central campaign promise from Mayor Zoran Mamdani, and 6 months into his first term, he got it. After the vote, he called it a historic victory for New York City tenants. The board voted at El Museo del Barrio in East Harlem, and by all accounts the reaction inside the room was electric, tenant organizers crying, signs waving, and outside the building afterward, pizza in Queens, we are the champions, blasting into the night. Now, it's worth understanding what makes this particular freeze significant. New York has frozen 1-year leases before, in 2015, 2016, 2020, and the first half of 2021. But this is the first time ever that both 1- and 2-year leases have been frozen simultaneously. And unlike those earlier freezes in 2015 and 2016, landlords today have far fewer workarounds. A series of pro-tenant state laws passed in 2019 eliminated many of the mechanisms that previously allowed rent increases when apartments changed hands. The real estate industry pushed back hard. James Whalen, president of the Real Estate Board of New York, said the vote was politically popular but would make the housing crisis worse, and accused the board of ignoring its own data. The concerns aren't entirely abstract. Samantha Magistro, CEO of the Bronx Pro Group, a for-profit developer with about 3,700 rent-stabilized apartments, says insurance costs jumped 60% between 2019 and 2022, and overall expenses grew 40% between 2022 and 2025. She says roughly half her portfolio now either breaks even or operates at a deficit, and that's already meant deferring real repairs, patching stoves instead of replacing them. There was also drama inside the boardroom itself. One of the 2 landlord representative members, Christina Smith, resigned on Thursday morning, saying she believed the vote was predetermined. The board's chair, Chantella Mitchell, a Mamdani appointee, issued a public statement affirming the board's independence. And in a surprise twist, the other landlord representative, Maxim Wynn, who is also a Mamdani appointee, voted in favor of the freeze. Wynn said the systemic problems facing landlords needed solutions from the city and state, not from rent guidelines. The lone dissenting vote came from Arpit Gupta, one of the board's public members, who declined to comment. Stepping back, the vote reflects something broader happening in housing policy on the left, the idea that aggressive rent regulation and expanded private development aren't opposites, but complements. New York's vacancy rate sits at just 1.4%, low enough that the city has officially declared a housing emergency. Mayor Mamdani has framed the rent freeze as one piece of a larger affordability agenda that also includes building more housing and cutting landlord costs like insurance. For tenant Farhana Rahman of Astoria, Queens, the message was simple: a freeze on rents for 2 years means relief and peace of mind for 24 months. That's the story, a 7-1 vote that hands New York's newest mayor his biggest policy win yet, and gives nearly 1 million households a 2-year break from rising rents, even as the debate over what it means for the city's housing stock is only just beginning.